Hey everyone, today I'm going to add some clarity to the ending of Westworld Season 2, Episode 4, The Riddle of the Sphinx. And before I begin, there will be spoilers for every single episode of Westworld. The most important line in this episode is said by Lawrence's daughter, as she tells William, "Then you still don't understand the real game we're playing here. If you're looking forward, you're looking in the wrong direction." When Ford is giving these cryptic messages to William, he does so mainly with children, because he knows what narratives would impact William and create some emotional change within him, pushing William towards the end of the game he laid out for him. This episode is about William looking towards the past to regain his humanity. At the beginning of this episode, we see the man in black ride past some hosts being used as planks of wood to extend part of the railroad. His biggest concern was that the tracks were supposed to be running north, not west, and that Ford's game must have several more contenders. He just did not care about any of these hosts. In Season 1, Episode 8, William opens up about his tragedy, how his wife's death was not accidental. It was a suicide, and that it was because of him. He explains that any day with him was sheer terror, that he could just blow up or collapse like some dark star. After trying to console his daughter, she pushed him away, and Teddy questions William, asking, "Did you hurt your family?" William replies, "Never. They never saw anything like the man I am here." However, he admits that she knew the kind of man he was, even though she never saw it herself. She claimed that there was an entirely different person hiding behind all the good deeds he's done. William came back to Westworld to reveal his true self and prove that he wasn't the person his wife thought he was. And this caused him to kill Maeve and her daughter, just to see if he could feel anything, but ended up feeling nothing. And in Season 1, Episode 2, he is trying to extract information out of Lawrence to find the entrance to the maze. He uses Lawrence's family against him. He kills Lawrence's wife right in front of him and his daughter. And there was a theme forming of William separating these families without feeling anything. In The Riddle of the Sphinx, we see a flashback of Delos's room. William was so caring when visiting Delos, more so during the earlier trials of his replacement. Both of them mourn over the death of Delos's wife, and William expresses joy when talking about his wife and daughter, tearing up when he does so. Yet in more present flashbacks, when we see William talking to Delos on the 149th try, William seems to have given up. The goldfish in the room was a great animal to compare the state of Delos's mind to. How he forgets everything so easily as his memory keeps refreshing, like a fish swimming in a bowl. William had to repeatedly explain the state of his family to Delos, explaining the changes of everyone close to him over the past few years, as it was getting progressively worse. Upon the discovery of his daughter's death, Delos suspects that William was the reason for her suicide, and William's face shows some guilt, and comes to the conclusion that some men don't deserve to live, referring to himself and Delos. William was so lost, but now Ford is pointing him in the right direction. In this episode, Lawrence and William's conversation in front of the bar looks as if it was mirroring the scene where William takes Lawrence to see his family in Season 1, Episode 2, the same scene where he ends up murdering his wife. Except things are very different this time. William mentions that Lawrence doesn't seem too thrilled to be home. Lawrence goes on to explain that he has never been the domestic type, and that by some fluke of nature he ended up with a wife and a daughter, and then he calls himself a son of a bitch, and then claims that the best thing for him to do is to keep his distance. In this moment, we see what the man in black saw in Lawrence. William could relate to him, the fact that they were both poisonous for their families and should keep away, which is also very similar to what William said in this episode, as he claims the world would be better off without him. In Season 1, Episode 2, William was killing all of Lawrence's cousins, as they got in the way of William getting his information about the maze, but does end up getting this information by terrifying and separating Lawrence's family. Now in Riddle of the Sphinx, William kills all of the surrounding soldiers of the Confederado to save Lawrence and his wife, earning the respect of Lawrence's cousins. As they follow him to go on his journey, he saves Lawrence's family, as he can now better empathize with the hosts. This path laid out for him is making William realize who he really is, straying away from being the man in black, and showing himself that he is not entirely the monster he once was, as he is now starting to redeem himself. In the end of the episode, William and the gang encounter his daughter, and during this encounter, did anyone notice that her hat was gray? I thought this was an interesting contrast between the black and white hat choices we've seen in previous episodes. Either way, we find out during this episode that his daughter didn't didn't like people and would rather live in these fake worlds. She's not wanting to face reality, while her father wanted to face a real threat. And it will be really interesting to see how these two conflicting viewpoints will interact with each other for the rest of the season. The main point is that she comes back into William's life at a perfect time. William finally got what he wished for, which was a world with consequence. He is now in a truer version of the world, and he can end up saving his relationship with his daughter, as he is already undergoing a change to become his truer self. And that was all I had to say about the ending of Westworld Season 2, Episode 4. I will be making an ending explained for every episode this season, so please subscribe to see more videos just like this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week for Westworld Season 2, Episode 5.